On the morning of May 12, 2017, hundreds of thousands of people turned on their computers and were greeted by a glowing red screen. They were locked out of their own machines, staring at a message demanding a $300 Bitcoin payment to get their files back. The impact bled into the physical world almost immediately. The UK's National Health Service lost access to crucial patient databases. Medical records vanished, ambulances were diverted, and hospitals were forced to cancel surgeries mid-stride. The infection crossed borders and industries in minutes. Global logistics giants like FedEx were crippled. The Spanish telecommunications company Telefónica was locked down. No sector was immune to the rapidly spreading panic. WannaCry weaponized a flaw in Windows file-sharing architecture known as the SMB exploit. It functioned as a worm, enabling lateral movement, automatically crawling through a network to jump from one unpatched machine to the next. You didn't need to click a malicious link. If a single computer was infected, WannaCry hijacked every vulnerable machine on the network. Our aging, highly interconnected digital infrastructure was completely defenseless. The worm propagated on autopilot, creating a scale of destruction that security teams had no immediate way to contain. The person who finally halted the attack wasn't working in a government cyber command center. It was a 22-year-old operating out of his bedroom in England. Using the online alias MalwareTech, Marcus Hutchins managed to stop the worm in its tracks. Overnight, Hutchins was pulled from obscurity. Governments thanked him. The global press celebrated him as the young genius who stepped up and saved the digital world from total collapse. But 3 months later, as he was waiting to board a flight at the Las Vegas airport, the FBI ambushed him. Hutchins was arrested and taken into federal custody. The public recognition that followed his discovery provided the FBI with the one thing they lacked: a real-world identity to link to the creator of the Kronos malware. The very event that turned him into a hero is what allowed the Bureau to finally close in on his past. Years before WannaCry, Hutchins was just a bored teenager living in a sleepy English town. With a natural intuition for code and a lack of academic engagement, he drifted into the black hat hacker underworld on internet forums. He eventually partnered with an anonymous user who went by the name Vinny. Vinny paid Hutchins to build a rootkit, a highly sophisticated piece of malware specifically designed to burrow deep into a computer and conceal its own existence from the operating system. The project escalated. Vinny demanded the rootkit include web injection capabilities, turning the stealthy code into Kronos, a vicious banking Trojan designed to hijack internet banking sessions. Hutchins balked. He realized his code was about to be used to drain the savings accounts of innocent people. But when he tried to back out, Vinny blackmailed him, threatening to expose Hutchins's real identity to the authorities if he didn't deliver the code. The extortion pushed Hutchins to abandon the criminal underground. He flipped to the white hat side, taking a job at a legitimate security firm in Los Angeles, where he spent his days tracking and derailing the very types of malicious botnets he used to engage with. Those teenage mistakes gave him an intimate, illicit knowledge of how malware authors think. He knew how to build the weapons, which meant he knew exactly how to dismantle them. Which brings us back to May 2017. As WannaCry tore through the internet, Hutchins sat at his desk, secured a live sample of the ransomware, and went to work analyzing the code. To do this safely, researchers use a sandbox. It's an isolated virtual machine that allows analysts to detonate a piece of malware and study its behavior without risk of the infection escaping into the wider network. While watching WannaCry execute, Hutchins noticed something strange. Right before the ransomware locked the files, it pinged a long, unregistered, gibberish domain name. Hutchins followed standard tracking procedure and registered the address for a few dollars. He expected to simply monitor the infection's path, but as soon as the domain went live, the global spread instantly went dormant. The code was checking for that specific live domain as a safety measure. If it found a response, the malware assumed it was being analyzed in a sandbox and shut itself down to evade detection. By buying that domain, Hutchins had accidentally triggered a kill switch. The ransomware's own built-in anti-detection mechanism became its fatal flaw, a vulnerability that could only be discovered by someone thinking like a malware author. But the fame from stopping WannaCry drew intense scrutiny. When Hutchins traveled to the DEF CON cybersecurity conference in Las Vegas, the FBI matched his true identity to the teenage creator of the Kronos rootkit. His arrest ignited a fierce debate across the cybersecurity community. He had undoubtedly committed serious federal crimes, causing real financial damage, but he had also voluntarily reformed, dedicating his life to stopping the exact threats he once helped create. It highlighted a glaring paradox in digital security. The white hat defenders and the black hat attackers possess the exact same skill sets. You cannot effectively defend against the dark arts of the internet without knowing exactly how to practice them. Our global digital defense relies heavily on gray hat individuals. Their moral complexity and intimate knowledge of the criminal underground are precisely what make them capable of stopping attacks that traditional institutions can't see coming. While the focus remained on Hutchins, the WannaCry attack revealed a much larger institutional failure. The worm only succeeded because massive organizations, from hospitals to shipping conglomerates, relied heavily on aging, unpatched systems. Following the attack, Microsoft and its partners began advocating for zero-trust environments. This strategy assumes every device on a network is already compromised, replacing outdated perimeter defenses with internal security layers that block lateral movement. This structural defense is critical because the profile of the attacker has changed. Intelligence agencies eventually linked WannaCry to North Korean state actors. Nation-states are now deploying the same devastating exploits once reserved for rogue teenagers. A reformed hacker stepped in to save the digital infrastructure this time. But the safety of our interconnected world cannot rely on accidental heroes or lucky kill switches. It requires networks designed for deep, structural resilience from the ground up.